heard me speak ever, I have not mentioned the challenge that Mr. Buklik has that he just spoke about due to his being convicted of a felony. I have not brought that up, and it is not any of the marketing materials that I have. So if there's other folks that want to say that about him, that's their business. Next question, please. Okay. All right. Thanks again, panelists, for those questions. We'll now end with closing statements from the commissioners' candidates. You have 2 minutes each. Commissioner Gentile.
I had a nice closing statement, but my opponent opened 2 doors that I plan to walk through. One, he talked about townships and oil and gas, and this is something I'm extremely proud of. We started here in Jefferson County a road use and maintenance agreement, which is the only instrument that protects townships from the oil and gas companies damaging their road. And in this process, it was mainly done through ODOT District 11 office and county engineers. There was one in 11 counties, one county commissioner that was involved in the process, and that was me. And I was involved in that process because when ODOT said, gee, it's only engineers, our room's not big enough, I called and said, get a bigger room. If it's affecting Jefferson County, I'm coming. This agreement protects the roads. It's working well. These companies have spent $25 million alone this year in upgrading roads in Jefferson County. They're upgrading the roads before they use them. It's a wonderful program, and I was part of developing it. The other thing is the Drug Task Force. He talks about crime. Our Drug Task Force, Commissioner Maple and I helped form with the cooperation of the city of Steubenville. We started right about the first year that I was in office. 225 arrests since 2009. 225 arrests. Most of those have led to convictions. We've seized $560,000 of property, and that money goes right back into the task force to be used not for salaries, but used for drug buys, for technology to allow the task force to keep operating. Anybody know what 2030 is? 2030 is when our county jail is paid off. And why I mention our county jail is that project was a nightmare. And that project says what can happen when you put people that don't have experience in a position to do a job. My platform is based on my 30 years of construction, mining, real estate experience. We're finishing projects ahead of schedule. Pottery Addition, $120,000 deduct.
Thank you. We all have a lot to say this evening, and I think that just to comment on a couple of things with that. The commissioners are paid a very nice salary to do a job. Bringing in projects on time and on budget is doing their job. That is not something that should be commended or something that sets them apart. That should not be that should be the precedent, not something that's outstanding. What we need to do is look to the future and what other projects need to be completed, what other things need to be done, and to reach out to the citizens in our county that truly want a voice, they want to be part of the process, and they feel shunned in a closed-door effort. So I do think that there's positive things happening in our community. However, we have a long way to go to compete with Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Columbus. There's a lot of things and a lot of people that move outside of our county that we could be retaining here. And we need people in this county who want to create a culture of giving rather than taking. We need to elect public servants and not politicians. I have publicly stated that I have a job, I have health insurance. However, I've committed 25% of my salary back to Jefferson County nonprofits because we want to get people who care about the local people and people who want to move this county forward into office. I do have real-world business experience. Since before the age of 14, I have worked at local businesses. I've worked in Pittsburgh as a commuter, and I manage millions of dollars on a daily basis. I'm not intimidated by a $13.5 million budget, and I think that I'm more than competent with my real estate background to bring in a building rather than renting at a reasonable price where we won't have excess spending on the taxpayers of Jefferson County. I think we need to focus on bringing in new and diverse businesses, not just businesses related to oil and gas. The energy industry has told us that those jobs will be here from between 7 to 10 years. The writing is on the wall. We don't want, when they leave, we don't want to have our head in our hands saying, I can't believe that we don't have a diverse economy. We have a diverse workforce. This institution produces people like that. However, they can't find jobs and they immediately run to Pittsburgh, Cleveland, or Columbus. We need to keep our young people here and keep them vested in this area.
Commissioner Maple, 2 minutes. In closing, I'd like to thank the panel. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and EGCC for hosting this event. In my opening comments, I talked about what I said I would do when I got in office, and that was really to get things accomplished. And I'm really proud to report that, while I've been there, and not solely responsible for me, but with the team that we have and the cooperation and collaboration that we've had in the courthouse and in the county, I've been associated with numerous positive things. We've had a balanced budget ever since I've been in office. We started the process of, when I first got in there, we were doing the budget in the calendar year that we're already in. I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. We're going to do the calendar, we're going to do the budget in November, so we know in January what we're going to spend. We have never overrun that budget. We've had courthouse improvements, we've had industrial park growth, we've had air park growth, we've had county policies that we put in, cell phone policies, travel policies. We identified all of our county vehicles so you can see them when they're not where they're supposed to be. A new animal shelter, a new terminal building at the airport, more recreational opportunities, brownfield cleanup that we've got going, a port authority that we put in place, a new oil and gas committee that we put together to hear from the community and be ready for this oil and gas opportunities that we have. And all that time in some of the worst economic time of our nation, and maybe of my lifetime, we did that all, and we reduced the county's debt, and we improved our bond rating. And I believe that shows a sign of good, successful management in the county courthouse.
4 months ago, I was at a commissioners meeting, and I asked the commissioners to do 2 things. Fix the hole in the roof and cut the weeds on Route 7. This is October 11th, ladies and gentlemen. I hope they get it done before the election. If I win this election, I'm going to start a catastrophe fund for the 4 school districts plus Steubenville Central and appoint a board member from each school. I'm going to donate 1 year's salary for the kids that have been getting hurt quite too often in our community. And at the end of my first term and my second year of office, my second year in office, I plan to have citizens of this community contribute what I've contributed to the catastrophe fund. Our county, our city, if I am elected, I'm going to hold the congressman accountable, the state senator, and the rest of the officials that are accountable to you, the taxpayers of this community. We need to clean up our community. We need to get our community safe again. We need to bring back the services you deserve. The jobs will come, but our county looks like a toilet. I need you to vote for me. I ask you for your vote. I ask you for your forgiveness. And by the way, the last meeting he did miss was September 20th. It was a Thursday. And one of his $5,000 contributors had a big farm party with cocktail waitresses and bartenders.
No personal tax.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your vote on November 6th.
Thank you, candidates. We now have, I see, a stack of random questions from the audience. They've been collected and submitted to our panelists to present to the candidates. The candidate will have 45 seconds to respond.
All right, well, we're going to start with a question for Lou Gentile. Lou, are you doing anything to help restart any of the RG Steel facilities?
Yes, as a matter of fact, on Friday, there's going to be an announcement about the S-Mark in their efforts to restart the Yorkville plant. I have worked very closely with the state of Ohio and the EPA on the remediation there. and the United Steelworkers and the company very closely because we want to put people back to work if we have that opportunity. As well, I've sent around letters trying to Frontier, who's looking at the Mingo Junction plant, offering my assistance in any way with state monies or any effort that the state can do to help from a financial standpoint. So my commitment is to our steelworkers, to that industry, and to doing everything we can to get them working again. I've been in constant contact with state regulators surrounding the Yorkville project. I'm hopeful that will move forward. I know there's some issues that they have with the contract still, but I've been in close communication with the state of Ohio and trying to make that work. And that is my commitment to make that work.
This question is from Mr. Petrella. As a property owner, what can you do to ensure that local families will not have to be burdened with unaffordable rates as local landlords try to cash in on the oil and gas boom?
I can tell you as a local property owner that that is becoming a problem already. Currently, I have 2 oil and gas tenants that are living in properties of mine. However, those properties were vacant and owned or were never rented to anyone else, so there was nobody that was evicted outside of that. Basically what it is awareness and education, and then also speaking with landlords and explaining to them what the consequence is. When you are locking in maybe a lower rate, it could be for a much longer period of time, and the benefit to that is you don't have transient people moving in and out of the house, busting things up and things like that. Again, the oil and gas industry is transient, and they could be here for as little as a very short time, to 7 to 10 years, but after the 10-year mark, they're going to be gone. So I would forewarn people from overpaying and jumping on overpriced rent.
Thank you. With the permission of the moderator, I'd like to ask a question of both candidates for Ohio 6th Congressional District, and we'll start with Mr. Johnson since the microphone's closer. Same question to both of you. The Affordable Care Act is law of the land. Do you let it stay in place, see if it works? Or is it a replace and repeal repeal and replace situation? And if it's a repeal situation, with what?
It's absolutely a repeal and replace situation. One of the largest tax increases on the American people in American history. We need to repeal Obamacare. We need to replace it with incentives to invest in health savings accounts with pre-tax dollars. So